Okay, I know how to get rid of the infinite loop if we get into it, but we do have to go through the dialogue somehow.
Well, well.
I'm not quite sure what it takes really. Yeah, come on. That stuff's fun.
Fun? Fun? Is tetanus fun? Is rickets? What about sepsis, huh? Enjoy that, do we? The things you do with our body are suicidally dangerous, and if you could silence your glandular impulses, you would hear me screaming at you!
Yeah, don't you want help? Same options, okay, unlikely coincidence.
I don't know.
Okay. Don't you want to be reunited?
I'm not going to...
Okay. Well, let's try to make a compromise.
If you want me back, we need to establish some ground rules. First, showers! Second, regular checkups. Regular, mind you, and from a reputable doctor. That Julie Farkas woman, for example, she seems to know a thing or two. Third, you need to listen to me more than your hormonal choir and genitalian orchestra. Promise me that, and you've got a deal.
Okay, I'm promising that because this is infinite loop, this is exit conversation, so fine, you've got a deal.
Really? I didn't expect you to actually agree to that. I'm afraid that was a bit of a bluff, really. I'm not going with you.
Well, if you like being stuck in there so much, I'll just leave you.
Oh no! Please, don't leave me here in this nice, safe dome where I have access to nutritive fluids and a fully indexed library. Please don't deprive me of being dragged through a landscape so bleak it was actually improved by the end of the world. I don't know how I could bear it.
So, look what happened to the think tank. Do you want to end up like them after a few hundred years?
It's true, the brains here have experienced some degree of deterioration. I'm confident that with a few decades of work, I can solve the problem.
Surely you've taken into account the corrosive effects of long-term exposure to biogel.
Of course I accounted for that! Do you think I'm so stupid? No, you're right. Maintaining my current functionality will be harder than I thought. This bears some further looking into.
What would happen to me if I left you here?
Let me see. I suppose you'd continue on much as you are now, using that synthetic thinking machine to do the heavy lifting. Unless, of course, the batteries run out. But that seems unlikely.
What if I put you back?
I'm not entirely sure. I suppose there's a chance that the reintegration would create some improved synergy between us. What form that might take, though, I cannot say.
Come on. Let's go. Come on.
Ugh, crawl back in there? Are you mad? I don't know where you've been. For all I know, you're riddled with disease or packing one of those delightful head wounds you seem to attract. I'm not crawling back into your head just to ooze right back out again.
Okay, let's try lying. I promise I'll take better care of myself.
Even if I believe you, and I'm not saying I do, we still have one significant problem we're facing. Even if I wanted to settle myself back in your skull and go to all the trouble of reconnecting nerve endings, Dr. Mobius doesn't have the tools here. We would have to make use of Dr. Klein's lab. and I rather doubt the brains are inclined to share.
Okay, then let's go make them share. Come on, Brain, it's thumping time.
Oh, lovely. We've reached the mindless violence portion of the program. Tell me, what exactly are you, and I use the word loosely, planning?
Okay. Okay, unarmed. Weapons, explosives. Ever had a squirrel brain omelet? That, but on a bigger scale, and with bombs.
Well, you have always been thorough in your destruction. All right, what's your plan?
Hmm. If I think Tank won't hold up to their bargain, we'll make them. Let's go. I think might be better off getting rid of the think tank entirely. We've seen a lot of their experiments. They're behind a lot of suffering. A lot of the creatures that plague the Mojave Desert too, and they don't really give a crap about people, not at all. So one of them is the sadistic principle. One of them has a fascination in anything bodily function related. One of them pretty much is eh, none of them is alright in the head, and none of them is truly too concerned about any kind of ethics. So letting them loose on the world, it's not an option. And I can't see how the hell could I keep them here. Uh, let's see if they'll hold up to their end of the bargain. If they do, they might be at least somewhat trustworthy, some of them. But if they don't, we'll kill all of them immediately.
Right! Look out, Think Tank! This brain is coming out of its jar! I suppose now that we're reunited, you'll want to fill your torso up with those other meaty parts the Think Tank took from us. Personally, I think your upgrades are quite a bit better. But now that I'm with you, the Sync's autodock can plug them back in no problem. Right then, off we go. Clyde will be in for a nasty shock when he realizes the pacification field won't work on a mind and body reunited.
I'm imagining all sorts of imaginary numbers right now.
Yeah, we can choose to keep our upgrades or the original organs.
Oh, I see you and your brain reached a compromise. How pleasant. I hypothesized after the indignant frequencies my receptors had recepted, such a partnership-based conclusion would be low on the likely scale.
Do you know how I can stop the think tank?
If I recall, I had a plan that was working, whatever it was. I don't think it reached fruition. I would recall fruit if it had happened. I wasn't trying to kill them, just keep them out of trouble. What was that plan? Blast! I probably wrote it down on the floor somewhere.
What was the plan?
Something ingenious and needlessly complicated, I expect. I may have already told you and forgotten it. I forgot I had forgotten pencils until one day I found one. Spent days studying its purpose before my memory circuit kicked in. Felt quite silly.
Anything I could do to stop them that doesn't require violence? I want to know my options. they have defensive capabilities, they have vivisectors at least, things like that, so maybe I can do something before I start firing?
Well, you could try and appeal to their humanity. That's a tired cliche. And really, when they were humans, they weren't very good humans.
Okay, any suggestions or for how to make them change their minds?
Well, there's many things they have forgotten sitting in their bowls. Friendship, the thrill of discovery, love, masturbation, the usual. Much like your brain, I am certain there is something you can spark within each of them. Memories, hormones. A wise man once said, "The eyes do more than see. Make them see, if you can. Or, if not, you can always make them succumb to fear." It certainly worked for me, for a time. Then you came along, and bravery and/or desperation trumped that little idea. Back to the drawing board, I suppose. Or is this the end? Hard to tell.
How could I scare them?
Oh, tell them I'm still alive. We had a nice chat, and we agree on a few things. That's true, isn't it? Or you could kill me and lie about it. Either way, it would be interesting. And if you are partial to lying and deception, well, you could tell them a ludicrous lie. The more over the top, the better. That's my experience. They're more than a little gullible. Better make it convincing, though, or it'll be the dissection table and vivisectors for you. And if you speak of me, please try and make me look good. I am Dr. Mobius, after all, not some lab assistant teacher's aide. Indeed.
Yeah, here's the problem. The guy who made the cazadores is going to die. No chance about that. We'll have to go to the sink first. I do intend to get my original organs back. Oh, crap. Probably didn't want those legs anyway. No, I'm fine. I don't think there's any real difference. I mean, yep. There is difference between the perks, but because there are especially just likely to get critical hits on those, but there's also some benefit to restoring their original organs. But even if there wasn't, I'd still return them. Yeah, let's return them.
You require some additional services?
Yes.
And rightly so.
Swap body parts. Heart. Okay, cardiac arrest perk. Your heart is back in your body, but some advanced technologies remain. You are less resistant to poison. What? Shouldn't it be you are more resistant, less vulnerable? Robots are only somewhat confused by you, 25% less likely to score critically, no? But on the bright side, healing items are twice as effective.
You require some addition.
Reattach spine. Reinforced spine. Your spine is back in your body, but some advanced technologies remain. Your torso can now be crippled again, but your strength and damage threshold bonuses have doubled. So our strength is now 10. So we need gun strength. Yes. Okay. Where's this think tank? Yeah, Dr. Klein awaits. Make sure you're prepared to finish this once and for all. Yeah, they're waiting.
The lobotomite returns. Our lobotomite. Has Dr. Mobius been denominated into scrap metal and voice module parts, as we hoped?
I found my brain. Now you and I are going to settle things.
I recommend watching your tone with me, lobotomite. Now, your brain. Hand it over, or we'll extract it again.
Yeah, I'm not handing it over. There's some things we should discuss.
And what could we possibly have to speak about? You have the brain, we have the technology. All you must do is surrender. With it, we can finally leave this place. I cannot tell you how boring this place gets, chopping up the landscape and everything in it. And we have so many questions to ask your brain first. About this Mojave place. A fertile testing ground for our experiments.
We are not going to try speed checks. Mobius and I, we formed an alliance, sort of.
Mobius does not form alliances. He was a terrible lab partner, and he would make a worse ally.
Okay, I talk things over with him and we reach an understanding.
You are lying. No, you are not. Your heartbeat, perspiration, all excessively confident and sure of yourself. Why would you reason with that maniac? He'll destroy us all!
Maybe you should confer with your colleagues first. I think I could have basically at least turn 3 out of the 5 again, do both my way. I don't think this will go anywhere, but confer with your colleagues.
Nonsense! Confer, colleagues? Those are two words I do not recognize.
Dr. Klein, I must intercept. Please, do not harm the lobotomite.
I'm not going to harm it. I'm going to dissect it until it's dead. Why the sudden intersection, Dala.
I cannot stand a sweet breathing organism breathing in and out to suddenly not breathe. We must keep it alive for study. Slow study.
Dala, these vocalized pauses are unlike you. What do you care?
Klein, this lobotomite, it's a great sounding board. You respect ideology, right? This one's, well, it's got good ideas.
Silence, Dr. O. This is a think tank decision. Save your objections until after I have decided our course of action.
You know what, Klein? Stick a straw in your tank and suck yourself. Long and deep. And my name is Zero. Yeah, a big, fat zero with a slash through it.
The slash as a designator of... Why, that is brilliant. But how did you...
The lobotomite taught me that. Taught me a name is more than, that I should take pride in things like names. And you know what? Forget it, Klein. I hate you. And your theory of brachial beam oscillation? The Chinese had it first, you copycat.
How dare you? Brachial beam oscillation was solely my discovery. I expressly told you that and deleted all evidence to the contrary. It's 2-8. Why are you acting like this? You've never refused to commit necessary surgery before. And this lobotomite needs its surgery. What is wrong with you? You sound brain-scrubbed, blindly agreeing with the lobotomite. What? Why am I even listening to you fools? Enough of this mutinous chorus. If there's a word I hate, it's mutiny. And the word jism, which never made any sense to me. It's ridiculous putting j and zm together like that. Nonsense! I count as 5, like the mighty human hand I once had, with its 5 penises clenched in a fist.
Sounds to me like your math is wrong, and the odds aren't good.
Nonsense! The mathematics of this situation are on our side, lobotomite. I believe... No, wait. Carry the 2, then... If this were a democracy, I would be concerned. We are too scientific for that. So just surrender.
Not a democracy, it's a research facility, and over half of your colleagues dispute your findings.
You dare use logic against me?
I do. Here's the deal. I'm not going to surrender. You are.
That's no deal at all. There's a whole world beyond the crater, filled with ideas and possibilities. We could have escaped, seen it all for ourselves, tested it, prodded at it, made it squirm.
Okay, you can still do that here quietly for me, or I can bring the Mojave, this world, to you. You'll be safe and you'll still be able to experiment. Aw. Oh. Yeah. I don't like where this is going. these people are insane large threat. Insane large threat really to everything. How can I just... I know they have to keep experimenting if they are going to survive or live on. But what good will come of that? Some good might come of that, but they're insanely dangerous and they might escape the restrictions. Why wouldn't they? Yeah. The classification field is down. Guess what happens now?
Colleagues! Think tank! Alert! Alert! We are under attack! Kill it! Kill it!
This problem with this weapon that I can't actually use now, can I? I need medics. Yeah, I'm dead if I share from this place. Absolutely dead. Have to try something else.
I will unleash the incredible power of our attack.
I'm not letting these criminals sleep.
Let's gang up on it. Guys? Anyone?
They are a huge threat to every living thing in there.
Blast her with her radio beams already! Let's gang up on it. Guys? Oh.
Sorry. But every time there was no outside force controlling you or preventing you from doing lazy, insane things, unethical things, you had no... You have no limits that you basically implement it on your own. I wouldn't dare. I would never trust them to. I would never trust them to stay in control. Not in a million years. As Dr. Mobius said, they're too clever for that. Maybe I might be able to keep them in control. For a time. Sooner or later, things would turn to crap. At least there's a chance of that happening, and the cost of that would be immense. Probably everyone living in the desert here. Mojave. But while the cost of simply putting a few bullets in them is 5 crazy brains, lobotomized brains die. It's a minor cost to pay in order to evade the potential damage that these guys could cause if I would let them continue. Dr. Mobius kept them in control, but even he couldn't really keep them in control. So it's
As
over.
it had been in the years before the Great War, Big Mountain, the Big Empty, became home to one of the brightest minds of the 23rd century. The Courier watched over the Big Empty for years to come, caring for it and keeping its discoveries safe until they were needed to help others. Which had always been Big Mountain's purpose. Past the laboratories and science, it had always been intended as a place to build the future of all mankind.
The Sync Central Intelligence Unit was impressed by the amount of exploration the courier had undertaken. Facilities believed lost, destroyed, or ones that had simply gotten up and walked to new locations had been rediscovered by its intrepid new master. Internally, the artificial personality debated as to whether it preferred the old management to the new, and concluded that the courier's thorough approach to research and investigation was admirable and worthy of its respect.
Dr. Mobius continued his research undisturbed in the Forbidden Zone. As much as he had attempted to create better Scorpions, he tried the same with humanity, with considerably less success. These failures didn't bother him overmuch. Once the rush of mentats wore off, he forgot he had failed in any event. After all, the bright young mind who had come to visit him in the Forbidden Zone had already exceeded his expectations.
The Sync atop the dome bustled with the voices of a small town, constantly chirping, arguing, and snarling at each other. Still, this all happened productively in the interests of its new owner. The Sync Central Intelligence Unit discovered, despite its inversion code, it was comforted by the sense of community the other personalities gave it.
The Biological Research Station, obsessed with seeding everything in sight, requested a transfer to the X-22 Botanical Garden, so that it might, in its own words, sensually fertilize the garden's smooth contours. The garden sent back a polite refusal, saying it had prior commitments with a vault it had helped infect before the war.
The book chute continued to devour all seditious materials until it nearly choked on a paperclip. It adamantly maintained it was a Chinese paperclip, and the whole thing had been an elaborately orchestrated assassination attempt. Whatever the reason, it slowed down for a while, carefully appraising each document and clipboard that came to it.
The light switches continued to bicker and flicker.
This persisted until the day someone dropped a flashlight in the sink, and the two of them united in their hatred of the Showboat. One of them eventually transferred to the Lightwave Dynamics plant, and began a long, unrequited affair with one of the holograms.
The Sync continued to ruthlessly scrub any particulate matter that came near it. Eventually, it gained access to the Magneto-Hydraulics plant and nearly flooded all the Big Empty in an attempt to scrub the crater clean.
The toaster continued its psychotic spree, reducing all appliances in range to scrap electronics and spare parts. After one of its more psychotic episodes, however, the other Sync personalities decided enough was enough and dumped the toaster in a bathtub. Sparking and hissing, the toaster swore its enemies would rue the day when they had bread and no way to toast it.
Muggy did his best to collect coffee cups, although in his quest, he accidentally trapped himself in Higgs Village. It might have been the end for poor Muggy. Except he found it peaceful there, tidying up the kitchens of the think tank professors back when they had been flesh and bone. Well, except for Dr. O, who was an asshole for having created Muggy in the first place. Muggy left O's house deliberately dirty, punishing the dishes and cups that lived there in blind revenge for serving Dr. O.
Blind old Jefferson, with sounds the courier brought him, created a symphonic counter-frequency that saved Big Mountain from sonic invasion in 2910. If you didn't hear about it, good. It was rumored by the other personalities that he had a brief fling with the light switches. Although he forgot their names much too often and was soon left in the dark as punishment.
Autodoc, always gentle and methodical, kept sewing up the courier in all the right places when the skin split open from repeated wear and tear. The Autodoc was just glad to have purpose again. It heard its simpler brothers and sisters who got shipped to the Sierra Madre were bored out of their skulls in that toxic dead city. In time, the Autodoc found a way to deactivate the Y-17 trauma harnesses, releasing the corpses they had held prisoner for almost 200 years.
As the courier ran through the X-8 facility multiple times, the computers analyzed the test subject's movements. Rather than performing a superficial observation, they realized the subject barely knew what communism was, or even what a high school was. This confused them for a time, until the facility finally realized that its research had succeeded. So it let its cyber dogs out into the wastes to help protect small communities from physical aggression rather than communist propaganda.
The infiltration program in X-13 felt spent, having repeatedly upgraded the stealth suit until it could upgrade it no more. It felt warm, fulfilled, and a bit sluggish. It realized not long after, the stealth suit had left it, without so much as a note on the nightstand. So the infiltration program sent out robo-brains into the wastes, looking for its wayward technology. It eventually found Repcon HQ, and set up a new research center, testing and murdering fiends who kept breaking into the facility.
The courier, organs intact, continued onwards, a little less heavy of step, but with all the organs in the right places, as they should be. After all, brains can develop a life of their own when left to their own thoughts, and the courier's brain was more clever than most.
The think tank basement, filled with lobotomized robotical frames of the doctors, now served as a graveyard. The monitors had recorded the battle in its entirety, including the think tank's final, shrill, terrified screams, whimpers, and pleas for mercy. They broadcast these humiliating last moments as a warning to anyone approaching the perimeter that other smarty pants were not welcome. The courier was the inheritor of the Big Empty, and there was room for only one will in the halls of the think tank dome.
There is an expression in the wasteland, old world blues.
It refers to those so obsessed with the past they can't see the present, much less the future, for what it is.
They stare into the what was, eyes like pilot lights, guttering and spent, as the realities of their world continue on around them.
Science is a long, steady progression into the future. What may seem a sudden event often isn't felt for years, even centuries to come.
In the times following the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, however, Old World Blues took on a new meaning.
Where once it was viewed as a form of sadness, nostalgia, it became an expression describing the potential for the future.
It can be easy to see science as evil, technology unchecked as the source of all ills, all misfortunes.
With the courier at the helm, science became a beacon for the future. There was old world blues, and new world hope. And hope ruled the day at Big Mountain.
We could say more, but the stories in the Big Empty speak for themselves. Now armed with the transportal Ponder, the courier could return to the dome at any time and crack open the secrets of the Big Empty one by one. The Sync sat vigilant, waiting for its master to return, shoes covered in Mojave dust. Only one road yet remained, and it was one the courier had to walk alone.
A big brain perk. Your brain is back in your body, but some of the advanced technologies remain. Your head still cannot be crippled, but you are only 10% more resistant to addiction now. Surprisingly, your damage threshold has improved by 10%, minimum of +1. Okay, success. There's something we want to take here with us. Probably... I want to take a Lyre. Or a Fido. God no, not a Fido. Superheated Saturnite, please. With the stealth suit. A lot of bonuses. Most of this is very uninteresting crap though. Not crap in the sense that it's useless, but crap in the sense that I don't really have a use for it. Critical hit weaken strength and damage threshold. Yeah, that's a good rifle. I guess I could take as many microfusion cells as I can give me. Okay, fine.
Might I be safe in the assumption that matters with the think tank have been satisfactorily computed vis-à-vis your residence in this domicile? Very good.
Okay, I just want to sell some of the equipment. I'm not gonna, I don't have any use. Ooh, critical hit frenzy. Yeah, I'm not gonna use these. Swing them away. Yeah, that's the end of it. How do we leave here, though? Yeah, probably transportation to and from. So, goodbye, awkward news. This could be a lot of things we could do here, but I'm not sure how much things we want to do here. I think I'll start moving the main plot forward at this point. There's still one DLC left, but I think the main plot is better to develop, move forward a little bit, at least, for jumping in there in the last DLC. It's not a side trick like the 3 others. It's more of a much more closely tied to the main plot, and there's some decisions you have to make, and there's a crash. Yeah. Next time we'll continue with the main plot.